Paula, too, for asking me to read this tonight. And also, it's always a treat to read with Stephanie, my fellow peer at the Writers' Workshop, and also to Malvern Books. And I love the little sign up there. All right, so I opted to go first because I get a little bit of anxiety when up here in front of people. And I don't really know how to talk in between my poems, so I sort of do, it's just like fast delivery. I always want to be funny, but I'm not, and I can't tell anecdotal stories between. So think of it kind of like a series of explosions or fireworks or lightning, and then hopefully there's some type of like residual aftermath. We didn't have a nap today, so, okay. Poor guy. Everybody say goodnight, Ruby. Okay. Sorry, I'm just Poor guy. Okay. All right, first title poem, Tomorrow. Regarding the island, you said, the factory rises into fog. You said, this is a ritual of crisis, and I need a new description. We moved towards a shore that bore strange rules in terms of edge. Backs to the wind and hair whipping your face. I think I've got it wrong this time. Forgery as physical object. A fair share of neon sites, you are here, or this is the place. An arbiter of space renders trace to remember who it was that was crying at the periphery of the wilderness. My eyes produce you in seriality, and certainty keeps on with fear. The cartographer, too, has a nature. Touch me here symmetrically in the grass. Do not become lines on paper. Traced actions measure time, a split fault between ornament and crime. The future is a state of dust or just a refraction of light. In all serialism. I make plaster casts of God's eyes with my hands, a skeleton devised by 3 geometries. Sorry, I can just keep, like, my heart is like tugging back here. Okay. First grace, then physics. In all serialism, what new men march on? An eerie irreality cites code, but talkers have loud and neat mouths. I care about other things. Sound range, knife makers without capacity. Not all soothsayers drawl, grave-eyed second. I care about other things and don't know how to be careful. Bad dreams. Unfold down miles, spasms numb and ripe with myself aside. Across yards of thrown bone dice, I follow much sadness into dreams through nervous passage that anticipates disaster. I know this one ends at the cemetery after the bend in the road. The falls I breakneck. The fall I fortune go by in years, go by on paper times compressed by lines, and I can't quite thumb under, or is it over the bother too many pleasantries a small lens like TV reflects hair astray or besmudged nigh. I don't feel I can stay. I don't feel I can stay here beside a thin rib cut sign points towards up as if up was north or goddamn. See, I don't know how to talk in between them, so, okay. Among the boys. Rather, among boys, beside a hole in the sky, I went to sleep with my arms crossed and light. It was my birthday, I, half tended towards bidding, coming out of boil. I, half tended towards town. Biscuit, I decided to bird. Down round the boys, a circle, the boys, I decided to bird. Here's another bird one. Bird in the hand. Don't shine me on, as in, we will dry off your wounds. I, guile and gutted, am not against salvation and ruin. They were wrong somehow. None of this will happen. A side eye you keep and release disgrace. T'other. Little quick fears drive, this and a rabbit's foot, lost to small lusts, don't want to die. I felt with fingers near the earth, a low sound, mercuric, across the neck of a girl buried in the body of a grand piano. Some boys nearby where I found myself trashed flowers on the lawn. Some sighed. Off, however, mathematically, the still air of the house was still. Without shine, I looked in last relay at shadows of the latest we, and went too much in love we are with one another. How to stop folding. A black and white heifer is half a shadow of horizon any place. Else, every shadow can be thought of as a clock. Don't rush into darkness now. I've learned many things from using my hands in fragmentary ways. Chlorine across, lights come, and again, we are still nothing but animals amongst a tinfoil bright half-life of what can't be held. This record is good for dancing. I talk to you just to see how it sounds. Ain't tellin'. Across Horse Thief Basin, I washed my feet with dirt. Before the plateau, tenor intent, a truck carrying stacked sacks of onions passed sprawling. The road hummed. I crouched. I, down miles and ripe. Backwards was black. A canyon city hefted by patches dry and full of feeling. I hummed. An observable streak of rain fell from above, but never touched the ground around me, and I paraded on through the solo arena, thinking of how I would describe myself to you. After fire. Wash small wounds carefully. Listen. Do not cut or walk past colored tape. People experience disaster differently. Drink water. Limit exposure to sights and sounds. A couple more. Naming of parts. First came, what is your name? Mid-air, in touch, I was looking for scarves. We both have a hunger capable of being put into print. That's biblical. It's curious for me to cringe at a country with all its evils. A midnight experience, he said to me. Same melody, different character. I sat at the bar and listened to you tell a story about a girl who painted a dog silver. I listened to you tell a story about a man whose son lived on the roof inside a building full of sadness. He rained Kleenex off the edge to create an idea of snow for those below. Proof that nothing is an isolated act. The scaffold is support to the building nearby. The woodpile is tarped with a tarp. I take my garbage into town. I've talked enough. I want to hear from you. So lovely, I burst. Big I, little you, so punningly with letters, so stunningly big a bug, big Ike, you important. A boastful man, sea conqueror for bite, and I suddenly jerked tight a slack-hung line, caught between loose, the result of playing two ends against the middle. A gallon of wine, big me, little you. He'll want his worth in weight in sawdust soon. And two more. Thieves and friends, but the I's and E's are transposed. Assembled quinella, a subterranean drum, shift, sure, nuff, left jargon of her seeming like you, her seemingly partly keel to backlash, act accordingly, or adorably. We naked, we idiotic, and her seeming like you. Only moon-pooled obstacles gather like shape-shaped things lawn. This is different than sitting in a graveyard at night, but not by much. And this will be the last one. All else comforts. With a mouth on a valentine, a dim and ravels away. Dull knife flung. By none is known how to reconcile two sides of a ravine. Possessions of the dead leave only longing. In ways, a bridge is just pretend and not a thing to be prepared for. What I find myself trusting most is negative space. I cannot predict other comforts, but know that when I go someplace to listen, I hear your loved ones whisper, perhaps after this war. Thank you.